What's up, everybody? We're back, baby. Listen, it's been a while. I know. Sorry. Life gets crazy that way. I know last time I said that we were going to start bringing the podcast back, but life got crazy. It's been about a year and a half, almost 2 years since I've really been able to be consistent with the podcast, with the band, with personal life, losing friends, work, this, that, and the other, traveling and everything. It's definitely been crazy. Could I have done a better job at being consistent with the podcast? Absolutely. But I did what I could with what I got. I want to say personally, thank you to everyone who has always constantly reached out. Hey, bro, when are you going to put the podcast back on? When are you going to bring the podcast back? We miss it, this, that, and the other. Yes, I actually get those messages. I'm not bullshitting you. I actually get messages, people saying that they like the podcast, they miss the podcast. I've gotten to experience a lot of cool stuff the last year or so, even just in jiu-jitsu, even though I haven't been able to train so much. Last year, I had to take about 6 to 7 months off because I had a pretty serious surgery. Then I had a friend pass away. So it's definitely been a bit crazy, man. I'm not going to lie to you guys. But with that being said, I'm aiming to bring the podcast back full steam. I still have my great sponsors in 𝐾𝐸𝐬𝐜𝐵𝐝. Check out, I'm going to have the promo code for all the 𝐾𝐸𝐸𝐜𝐵𝐝 gear. We're working on getting a new soap sponsor. Mr. Barrett's Grappler soap. They've been really, really supportive of the podcast, even without having the podcast being active. So I really want to just give a big thank you to them for supporting the podcast and just being all around good people. To get this podcast started, I have someone who I have been friends with for the last couple of years. And I knew that I wanted to speak to him first because, number one, he reached out to me asking to do it. And in a weird way, I didn't even get to tell him. In a weird way, it's funny that after all this time, I randomly got a message from someone asking me about him and about his event. Ryan from Third Coast Grappling. Ryan was on the podcast years ago. He's been on here a couple of times. Great guy. But what we talk about today, yeah, we have fun, is a serious subject. And it's a serious subject in the aspect of that it goes beyond jiu-jitsu. And it goes deeper into things that matter, like your own health, your family, your kids, everybody who actually cares about you. And this is a subject that has been very close to me this past year after everything that I went through. Obviously, after everything that Ryan went through, it was not anything that we haven't talked about any of this stuff. Anytime we talked, it's mostly been about music and guitars. So to see someone that's kind of been on the same wavelength on a different extreme and a much deeper extreme for him is a good reset. It's a good point of view to kind of catch, kind of put you in check of like where you're at in life. So I want to say once again, thank you to everyone who has been sticking through the podcast and supporting us. Thank you to 𝐾𝐸𝐸𝐜𝐵𝐝. Thank you to Mr. Barrett's soap. Thank you to the friends that were friends, to the friends that picked up the phone and checked up on me, the friends that actually text, that call, that came to the shows, friends that came to the actual shows of the band. Right? I think that to me is probably one of the biggest things. The people that took the time to come see me outside of jiu-jitsu, the people that care about you enough to see you succeed outside of just, oh, you got a medal. Those are the people that I started focusing more. So without any further ado, former president, owner, founder of Third Coast Grappling, Ryan McGuire. And I'm not touching anything else for the rest of the time. We're good to go. Ladies and gentlemen, back from the underground. This is the Undertaker of Jiu-Jitsu. Like, I'm here. Cheers to you, bud. I got a little bit of coffee here for you. I had to get some cheers. How should we pronounce this? Is a former president of Third Coast Grappling? Is
the founder, the president, you know, is my baby, you know.
The man that got us through COVID with jiu-jitsu. Like, this guy right here, Ryan McGuire. Chill, sir. Thank you very much. Cheers to you, sir. Appreciate you.
There you go. Cheers.
What are you drinking?
Some unsweet tea, man.
Jeez, man. It's like, I'm glad I asked, because otherwise it looks like you're drinking like a spittoon over there.
It looks like somebody that has bad hydration, their urine.
It's like, dude, I think you might need to drink some more water. That road jug is not working out anymore.
No,
my man.
We've been talking about this for what? I mean, I wasn't in a place really to even want to talk about this stuff for such a long time, but it's I'm happy to jump on with you, man, and just talk a little shop.
No, man, for sure. I mean, this is honestly the first podcast I've done in close to a year. The last time I did it was with Matt Van Buren, and I kind of got in the same spot as you. It was like, things are in your head, things are going on, and like, I know you and I have like been talking on and off like for a while to do this. So I think we're both finally in a spot where we can kind of get back into that jiu-jitsu mindset and kind of do a little bit of roasting. But first, if anything, I got to know what you've been up to, man. Like, we'll get into the Third Coast Grappling stuff, but what have you been up to, man?
Man, I had to get sober, bro. Like, you know, right when COVID was happening, I got prescribed. I was seeing a therapist, high stress. I just thought, you know, it was a lot. I mean, all of us went through it. We all went through a lot of hard stuff. But I mean, at that point, we had just had 3CG3. It was like at a fever pitch. We had 3CG4 lined up, and then it got canceled. And people were like, COVID's bullshit. You know, that's nothing. This motherfucker just couldn't pay the athletes. That's why he canceled it. I'm like, these motherfuckers, dude. And now we look back 2-3 years now, and we're like, oh, wait, it changed the whole world. Like, this affected everybody. It wasn't bullshit. I mean, was there some mismanagement on some of the some of the budgeting? Yeah, probably a little bit. But one thing that, you know, we were always good about is making sure we paid everybody. And there may be onesie twosies here that'll complain they didn't get $100 commission or whatever. But to be honest with you, we never turned a profit on an event. I mean, even with 30,000 in licensing from Flow, and even, you know, 25 plus from Fight TV. I mean, it was a constant grind, event to event, and I take a lot of blame for that, because, you know, big dreams are expensive, and I don't think in this industry you can really do anything of substance unless you're willing to lose some money, and that means you got to have some money to lose. So I think the ones that you're seeing standing out right now, the Seths still doing Fight to Win. You see ADCC's really taking over with their tournaments on top of the trials. I mean, they have such a great. They are grappling, they are jiu-jitsu, and I think what they're doing is outstanding. But I mean, everybody else is just still doing the same thing. I mean, you can only do what you can do. Everybody copies the Seth model. They put 50 matches on there. They want people to sell tickets for it. Yeah, you know, it is what it is. But that's not going to grow the sport.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're opening up the can early, because I know you and I talked a little bit about this other stuff, and we're definitely going to get into it. Trust me, I'm definitely going to poke and prod a little bit, but I'm right now, obviously, I'm more curious about some of the stuff that we haven't spoken about as friends, like you said, where like you had to get sober, and obviously we don't have to get into details that you don't want to, but
I got like a little bit. I'll give you the rundown. I mean,
yeah,
you know, I've had mental health issues and stuff like that throughout, from childhood through, and never really learned how to manage them. But I was talking to my therapist, and he was like, okay, take this to this, because he wasn't a prescribing, you know, therapist. So he had like a network guy. And he was like, all right, take this. And it was for Klonopin. It wasn't, you know, it was supposed to be a low dose, something to get me stable. The motherfucker I get to the doctor, and he's like, here's a script for Xanax. I think you need something a little bit more. I think you need something with a little more oomph in it.
Right.
And he disregards my doctor's advice, prescribes me Xanax. I'm taking it as prescribed. But that drug led me down a road, bro, that I will never, I guess, got chills thinking about it. Like, it literally almost killed me twice. Like, I went into seizures. I went into multiple things. I shouldn't even be sitting here, to be honest with you. If this was a year ago, I mean, I couldn't probably even say your name right. I mean, I was so, because it threw me down the road of stimulants, because you get so down on Xanax and it's like, okay, well, I'm going to do this. And so that started at like right around the COVID time frame. You know, I always partied and had fun, which I thought was fun, but the most fun I've had is getting sober. And for the last 9 months, I've been clean of everything. You know, I might have a beer here and there, but like I don't touch anything. The Xanax, I had to go into a detox program and to get it out, because like the seizures, my hands were like claws, and this is stuff nobody knows about, you know, like
Yeah,
except
yeah,
my wife, because I completely, after, you know, I resigned from 3CG, or after my partners were like, hey dude, you're fucked up. You need to go, you need to go get some help. You know, this thing will be here. But you see, it wasn't there. But you know, they had my best interest. So I was able to, you know, dissolve my interest in 3CG. And then it was like, go focus on me. But getting through there, you know, I lost my grandma. I
yeah.
think
I
our third
remember.
event into the Kumite, and during COVID, the stress of that, on top of running a podcast, on top of trying to just, like, such a crazy time. But that, my grandma died, and she was like my mom. My mom had died, I think 3 or 4 years prior, from a drug overdose. And so that, when my grandma passed, literally like a week prior, she drove by my house for my daughters, you know, like stand on the porch birthday, because we couldn't get together.
Mm.
People were doing those like drive-by birthdays, as they called them, or whatever. She drove by, was fine. I'm getting ready to cut. I think it was Kumite 3 or 4. I'm in the back room. We're getting everything ready. It's like an hour to show time. I get a call from my dad. Hey, I'm in the car with your Nana. She's just had a stroke. You know, we're going to the hospital. And that started from about August to October. It was just dwindling down and down. We couldn't see her. They were constantly moving her in isolation because of all the COVID stuff. And it really took its toll. And so adding to that, the stress of COVID, I was drinking, I was partying, I was, you know, it just all of a sudden snuck up on me. It became like a daily thing.
Yeah,
And
I think we were all kind of stuck in a situation where nobody really understood how to cope with it. And the fact that we were like, oh, we got a lot of extra time on our hands. And even like we have the extra time, but you were also sitting there and doing so much that it's like you kind of grasp at whatever you can get. And it was like, if it was the Xanax, okay, well, that's helping me get by this much. Now I need to, outbalance that with a different stimulant and stuff like that. Like, dude, like it's insane. Like from my point of view, honestly, like the way that I saw you operate, I think I wouldn't have expected it, because you handled everything so well, like all through COVID, that like I would have never known, because we never talked like that about that kind of stuff. So it's like that, and now like you explaining that to me just shows to me like probably how much in pain you really were that you didn't even know about it.
dude, all the lashing out and all the bullshit and all the grandstanding and stuff, that was just like drug Ryan. That was like an exaggeration of who I am. Because like at my core, man, I love God, I love my family, and I got away from all that.
Yeah.
And you know, if it wasn't, I mean, I'm not gonna get like holy roller here or whatever, but if it wasn't for God and it wasn't for my wife, I wouldn't be here right now. My wife was there with me. I mean, she left me once during it all, came back after I started getting stuff together, but I took a giant fall. Like I took a giant fall, and one that honestly people were probably happy to see, because they were wanting that fall from the game. But fuck those people. but
Yeah.
you know, like there were people that were rooting for me to fail, but they didn't realize my heart was all in on jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Like I loved throwing events. I loved making an impact. I loved disrupting the industry. I loved making people happy, but also pissing people off at the same time, because you can't have
Yeah.
it both ways.
No,
But
I mean, I think that's probably why like we got like along so well too, is the fact that like, I mean, your passion was there. Like like, and we've talked about it with the amount of people that were hanging on to you for dear life, because I mean, the entertainment industry completely shut down. My business like went to shit. Like it was completely shut down. You at one point were literally the only person doing events, like
I think it
in
was Seth.
general.
I think it was Seth and I. That was it.
Yeah, but even
Like,
then, I think you had an event before Seth had Fight to Win, or
um,
it's like
I
pretty
think we,
close.
I think we brought spectators back first, is what we were able to do. But I
Yeah.
think Seth was the first to market with his kind of the way he did things. And to be honest, let me just say this about Seth: that guy tried to fucking help me. That
Yeah.
guy tried to help me save my life. He put in effort to get me, working with him, doing matchmaking on fights. When he flew, I flew out to Colorado, spend time with him. Like, for whatever anybody wants to say about him, that guy, he tried to save my life. And I just was, there was a lot of really good people that were around me that wanted me to succeed. My partner, Zach, David, you know, Oliver, I mean, all these people that were a part of our core team, Dean, you know, Alan, Brandon, I mean, all of us, they all saw me hurting. They all saw the, you know, when the match is going on, I'm over there fucking slamming or fucking have a bottle of Jack Daniels or, you know, and the low point was, for me, was a fucking kid event at Scout Markets getting completely schwackered and having to give medal. I got too fucked up. I couldn't even give a medal.
Yeah.
So y'all gonna give a fucking thing. So that, you know, and that, it was crazy, man. Like, it's I can laugh about it a little bit now, but it was a ride like I've never experienced. When I lost 3CG, it felt like I lost a kid. And people say, "Oh, you're being dramatic, you're this," but I put all of my time, to, even at the expense of my relationships, my family. Like, I was locked in, because that's when COVID came around and 3CG3 happened. We had Bo Nickel and Gordon. We were on a giant wave, and it felt like my knees were just cut off. And I was like, "Fuck no, am I gonna let this China virus fucking come over here and fucking and ruin it?"
But I mean, it's true. Like, and that's the thing that always fascinated me about like the whole 3CG situations, because obviously you and I both have the background in like working in the music industry, and most people do not understand the complexity of putting on an event, which is why I like the whole thing that started like with going back and forth with Halleck like a few weeks ago, like with me, like pissed me off. It's like, I know exactly what it takes. So I know when you're lying to people, right? And it's like, and that's the thing, is that as much as you were going through, not once were you like granted like all the stuff that you were personally going through, but you always were honest with everybody, with the athletes. You always went above like and beyond as much as you could to make sure that people got paid. I mean, I remember there was, correct me if I'm wrong, there was like a whole situation, I forget who it was, that was complaining about not getting paid. And it was like, it took like an extra day or something like that. And then like out, right?
I forgot who it was.
Right. So it was like one of those things. It's like, that's how you're supposed to handle it. And my guess is that you didn't really have the means to like what it needed to get paid, but you took the hit. You're like, I need to make sure this gets taken care of. I'll take the hit and then whatever.
That's a lot of, I mean, my partner, Zach, he was my, you know, the guy I started it with. And we rekindled our friendship finally through, and he was the one that really wanted me to go get help and get better. And he's always been there for me like a big brother. And he went into, I think just paid off the debt from 3CG. I mean, we bootstrapped everything. Like we had like small investors here, I think a 50K here or like 30K here, but we always tried to make it work. And at the end of the day, bro, like I said, it's not worth it. If you want to get into jiu-jitsu events, like my professor told me, I just got back to training jiu-jitsu finally. Like I couldn't even see a mat, or I got off Instagram, I got off everywhere because I could not even see it without it like evoking an emotion. And so I finally got back into it. And he's like, Ryan, he goes, don't think about that side. That is the ugly, ugly side of jiu-jitsu. The one where you're training, the one where you're helping your team, the one where you're competing like for yourself. That's the good stuff. We do, unfortunately, get to see, we've seen the other side, and it is fucking, it is grown men acting like gossipy women, you know, like fucking sitting there in group chats, like, hey, let's go get this motherfucker. Like I've been in those group chats. Like I've been in the toxic shit. I never really wanted to participate, but I was a target of that stuff, you know, hit pieces, articles, this, that. Like people were always trying to push something. And, you know, I was so dumb, and I wouldn't even say dumb. I was just so game for it. I'm like, all right, let's, you know, the turmoil, like I thrived in that. And I was like, but that's not any way to live. Like the way I'm living now, the peace, the love, the gratitude, the, you know, for God, for my family is, it's night and day. Like I said earlier, I'm lucky to be alive, man. Like no bullshit. Like my wife was like, he's fucking gone. Like there was 2 times when I was trying to get off, or when I may have taken too much of this or that, and I wanted to. I didn't want to live it at some points because I felt like all I had was what I had built, and I couldn't see down that road because I was so distraught about it finally going away. But over time and some therapy and just praying and thinking through things, I finally made peace with it all. Like I take full responsibility for anything that fucked up with 3CG. I was the guy, I was the innovator, I was the mind behind it. I'm the fucking responsible party, because if I would have been better at managing and delegating and doing things and being, you know, more on top of things, I mean, it was tough, but I don't blame a Zach, I don't blame a David, I don't blame a 𝗶𝗧𝘂𝐿, I don't blame anybody. I don't blame anybody for anything that happened. Anything that happened with 3CG, I take it on the chest. It's my fault. It's none of these other guys' fault. They all wanted the best. We all had the same vision. We all had the same dream. We all were working towards the same thing. And unfortunately, some people got hurt or they may feel this way, but it's on me. It's at the end of the day. So nobody should ever bear brunt or blame or be embarrassed or anything. We did something outstanding for the time that we got to do it. But I mean, anything that went wrong is on me. And if I would
No,
have
but
been,
I mean, I definitely I love the fact that you're willing to bear the weight of it all, but it's definitely not all on you. I mean, the tough part is that you were the face, right? And anytime you have an event like that, there has to be a face. For EBI, it was Eddie, and even Eddie couldn't handle that one anymore. He had to back off to being the face on it. You know, like Metamoris was Halleck, and he handled it completely different from what you handled it, right? So it's like it's literally the same thing, and it's one of those things where even like I've flirted with the idea like, oh, we should have like our own tournament and do this, and which I still want to do, but it's like to the grandeur of the events that you put on its own were crazy, let alone that period in literally world history where even like good luck getting like the trusses to hang lights. Like who is going to transport that? Like people don't get it.
bro, the logistics behind throwing an event, like my production team, Dash, and those guys, and what my other partner David did with his, being able to organize. He came on with us in the Kumite, and the guy's salted there, the God guy, really good guys, always trying to help people. And those are the people I feel like I let down when I hurt, like the Zacks and the day. And those are the people I cared about. And I've talked to them. Like we've had,
Yeah.
like in the past 6 months, I've been able to say my apologies and make my amends and let them know, and they were just happy to see me alive and see me sober and see me moving, in the right direction. I'm doing great things again with what I'm doing now with my career now, and it's a testament to getting through the fire,
Yeah.
fixing where you fucked up, and going at it again. And
Well, it's
I'm
funny.
happy.
Like it's like the more that we talk about it, more like kind of pieces like fall into place. Cause like I definitely recognized that point in time where you kind of like went MIA and you dropped out. And like we talked, we were friends, but like we weren't like that close and stuff. But it was like I'd always try and go back to check up on you here and there. It's like, hey, here's like some guitar stuff. Like at least I knew like that part you were like gonna like nerd out
I
on
love
stuff with
music,
me.
man. Fuck yeah, let's talk. Let me grab my guitar right now.
Oh, dude, don't get me started, man.
Let's play a song, man. Let's play one for the people.
What do you got there? Wait, what'd you get there?
I modded this one out. It's a Yamaha Pacifica. Put a similar
Oh,
Duncan Invader in the bridge.
yeah,
Fucking
yeah, yeah. Yeah, no, dude, like evidently now they're Yamaha's trying to bring those back. They like souped out something
I
for
saw it in
NAMM.
NAM. At
Yeah.
NAM, yeah, I saw that. They're like the $2,000 Pacificas.
Yeah, like screw that. Which they're great guitars. They've always been great guitars, but dude, don't get me started, man. Like we're not even gonna be able to talk. I just wasted so much money. I showed you the Frankenstrat that I picked up. Like, dude, that thing is like cheap, cheap. I'm not gonna even lie to you guys. That ain't the real thing. I'm not gonna tell you where I got it, but it ain't the real thing. But it plays great. But dude, I definitely, like it's, and by no means am I trying to do like one up or comparison, but like I think we were kind of going around through the same thing because when everything was going on in COVID and I was working for that company, I didn't realize how depressed I got. I got into like a serious state of depression where I was like, dude, I was like sleeping in like till late. I would get up and like, first of all, fuck that company anyway. I'm just gonna be very honest. They were very like shady and like some like thanks to NDA, I can't mention things, but karma got everybody. Let's just leave it at that. But I mean, I would sit there, do one thing, just go back to bed because like everything felt so like useless. There was no point into getting stuff done. And then when I realized that, like it is, I tried to start microdosing, like, and that helped out a lot, a
I
lot.
tried that out too. I've tried that out. Yeah.
And it's definitely one of those things where is it for everybody? No. But I mean, I would rather do that than like you said, get into like that hole where people get connected with
Bro, I
like
was snorting stuff. I was, dude, and the worst part of it wasn't like a party addiction. This wasn't like this was dark, soul
it was
deflating.
to get by.
Yeah, by myself, chopping up fucking line. Like from the Kumites probably on, I
Mm,
was out of my fucking mind.
yeah.
I was out
I
of my
believe
mind.
it.
And add in the jujitsu stuff, but man, like I have a lot of, I wouldn't even call them regrets anymore. I've made peace with it. But if I go back to put this person in that position, I don't think 3CG would have got where it was,
Yeah.
because it needed that crazy energy pushing it. We just, like I said, unless you have fucking money, unless you are somebody that's a mathematician guru, unless you're okay throwing a mediocre events or events that maybe 200 people might watch. Well, I mean, it's you have to have money to
Yeah.
compete in this business.
And
Like to
it's
go up
not,
against an ADCC or this or that, like I know the numbers. I know I've worked with Seth on the back end. I know my numbers. I know other people's numbers. What 𝐿𝐼C did with Metamoris was, oh, fucked up. I'm gonna go cry to daddy. Oh, they won't bail me out, and now I'll just fuck everybody. And he's
well,
talking to, and there's
yeah.
been other people. Howell did that with his fucking red belt, and all. There's been a slew of these people that have been bad guys or ostracized or whatever that were allowed right back at the table. Like
Yeah,
okay,
and like the thing with 𝐿𝐼C though is like obviously like I mean we both have our own like inside information on stuff like that. So like my experience with that was a little bit deeper in a mixture of like knowing what you know and then knowing what I know, like and stuff like that. The difference again to me comes down to you manned up, right? And even like everything that you were going through, it's I always look at it like the pride comes before the fall. And you have to go through all that stuff, like because they're all learning situations. I mean, we've all gone through situations where, you know, you go through it. Some people stay in there longer, or you come out of it, you either go back to being in the dark spot or you take a right and you know, you get into a much better spot. And like I said, the
not
same
everybody gets out, and not everybody gets out. I've had family members
yeah.
pass away. I've had friends. Like it takes. I don't know what it was, man, but it was a crazy moment. I was out of my mind. I was seeing shit. I was probably like not probably a week away from just I was out of my mind. Like I was talking to the veteran suicide hotline. Like
Mm,
crazy. It got so dark and so bad. This was like 11 months ago, like
yeah.
when everything finally snapped. And I just remember like my wife had left with my daughter, and I went up to the bedroom, just like prayed, and it was like a weird, warm feeling came over me, and I was able to like calm myself down, go to bed, and then I woke up and my wife was there. I thought she had left me again, and
Mm,
we started talking, and from that moment on, is when everything changed.
yeah.
Is when I started getting sober, and when I started my brain, dude. Like I can't explain it to anybody unless you've been fucked up. Like it's hard to explain what it does to you. Like people
Yeah.
say, "Oh yeah, they're on drugs," but it changes everything about you, from your personality to your habits to everything. And it just was, man, it was dark. And I don't know what 𝐿𝐼C or any of these other guys have gone through, or I mean, it's not something I would wish on anybody, but it brought out a sense of clarity and drive on the other side, that I realized that a lot of things that people were telling me when I was fucked up about, budgeting better for this event or doing this, like everything made sense.
Mm,
And everybody tell me, man, you need to sober up, or you need to do this, or you need to blah, blah, like I didn't want to hear nobody. I just
yeah.
wanted to hurt myself. And in doing that, I hurt my business, I hurt my friends, I hurt my family. And I've paid the price. I went through hell. I came back. I'm
Yeah.
here, and I appreciate you giving me this platform to talk. But when it
No.
goes back, yeah, when it goes back to like COVID times, though, that is unprecedented.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's going to be something that they teach in schools in 20, 30 years in psychology class. Just what it did to us. Even now, getting out in front of people again, even
Yeah.
after this years, it's still anxiety. Like being around people physically is like, fuck, this is weird.
Yeah. I mean, for me, like last year, it's like it's the same thing. I had a friend that passed away, and he was going through like really, really like dark stuff. And he it was recent. It was just in September. He had that switch too, where he was like, you know what, like he realized he was in a dark spot. He started working on himself. He started working out again, and this, that, and the other, and then just something happened with his body, and like he got sick on like a Saturday, Sunday, and he was dead the next Friday. And we didn't even know like we didn't know until his brother told us, and his brother was a nurse. And then I come to find out that a bunch of my friends were like his nurses at the hospital down the street, and nobody told me. So like even now it's like it's starting to hurt. So that's why like when I saw at least like a little bit that you were hurting, and again, we weren't like talking like on the daily, but it's like I learned at least reach out, like give somebody a chance to open up, right? And then it's like
You were one of maybe, I can count on one hand. Like people wanted, like I don't hold any grudges. I'm not sitting here like spiteful, but I can count on one hand the same people that were begging for matches and I was their brother and yada yada yada, all that bullshit. Like it turned out what it is. It's bullshit.
Yeah.
And it was because I could do something for them. But when I was down, when I went dark, nobody hardly reached out to me at all.
Yeah.
And I go back to some people that I wanted to reconnect with, and I'm like, damn, my last message to this motherfucker was 2020. Yeah. Like I look on like on Facebook, and I'm like, it's wild, bro. Like people want to be there for the ride, but if it falls, there, you're on your own.
Yeah, no, again, not trying to be like, oh, like about me, but it's like I had crazy stuff happen last year. I had to have like surgery, like emergency surgery and stuff. And like, same thing, I realized like, yo, out of all these people that like I used to call up weekly during COVID to check up on them and their family, out of all these people that I was friends with, like 5 people, maybe like call me up to check up on me, like after like the surgery. And again, it wasn't anything crazy, but I was like, I have never experienced the pain that I experienced after that surgery ever in my life. Like I have never experienced anything like that, where it was like at one point I was on my hand and knees, like bleeding out with my dad taking care of me, like just buck naked in the shower. And my dad's like, doesn't know what to do. I was like, I had to go to the ER and stuff like that. So it's like,
you're a big boy too.
Dude, like, yeah. And like my dad's like 65, 66. He ain't picking me up anymore, man. And even then after the surgery, dude, I lost 30 pounds in 7 days after like, yeah, dude. Like, so I'll spare you the details, but you'll kind of understand this, obviously, from being in music. I was playing a show. We were playing a show down. Nobody other than like my parents and my band members know this. We were playing a show in Fort Lauderdale, and the stage is maybe a foot tall. And I'm fine. Like I was having like issues like the months before, but like whatever. And I took a step off stage, and all of a sudden I felt something inside me pop. I just felt pop. Dude, next thing I know, I was bleeding out for 2 hours. I kept playing. I was like, I could feel like the blood like coming down. I was like, and I kept playing. And finally I realized I was stumbling through like the phrases when I was playing. And then when I was talking to the guys in the band, I'm like, I couldn't get words out. I was bleeding out. Dude, I got into my car and I drove myself to the hospital. I ended up becoming anemic. I was anemic for like 2 months. Like I couldn't even stand up fast. Like nobody else, like, again, who calls up to check up on you? They know you went to the hospital. No, nobody, dude. So it was like, I don't harbor any anger towards anybody, but when you realize push comes to shove, who's going to pick up the phone? Right. Because what I tell you is like, dude, like I'll come out to Texas anytime. You let me know. You got family and stuff. So I'm not going to be like, just show up, but it's like, who's gonna be your friend is gonna be your friend, right? And when you realize like all these guys, hey Ryan, what's up, bro? Like, when's the next event, right? I can, that I can sit there and tell you the conversation without you have ever told, yo, my bro, like anything you need, just let me know. Like I'll come. Yeah. No.
Hey, but what you did wrong, Alex, is you didn't make a Facebook post begging for sympathy.
Yeah.
I mean, we should have both did that a few times. Maybe, guys, I'm having such a hard time in my life. I'm doing like that's what. And then you get the wrong kind of attention. The ones that actually are just nosy and want to know what's going on, and then the ones that actually give a fuck. I didn't want any of that, and that changed my life because I went from being so like forward and so front facing, and my life being out there that it was like when I closed off and I realized what mattered and who mattered, and I could think logically about it. I changed my life, and like the people that matter in my life and the ones that aren't, they're not. I mean, it is what it is.
You didn't post a video of yourself crying with the overdub of like, my life is so hard right now.
Like, who did that? Was that Halleck? Halleck did that?
No, Halleck just, all right, look, I'll rip into Halleck because I still have beef.
Let's just go. You've been wanting to do this.
Oh man, no, I mean, I'm more focused like on you because obviously there's so much that I want to talk to you about, but like the Halleck thing, I'll just offshoot for now is he got on this masculinity podcasting, which to me is like the biggest bullshit. It's like, if you need to get on the podcast to learn how to be a fucking man, then you already lost that man card. But don't get me wrong, because men's health, like what we're talking about, is a serious fucking issue. We get shit on for sure. Not an issue with me whatsoever. I think a lot of people need that support. However, you lose me when you're trying to sell masculinity to people and you sell it as divine masculinity. Like you're going to start start naming your man period, right? Dude, I'm not even joking. You know that I get into these like just like deep dives and I have to do the research because I have to know the information. And once I saw that, I was like, all right, this guy says he didn't research anything or he didn't know anything about what happened with 𝐿𝐼C. But then he says, oh, we talked about this like during lunch and like this stuff that happened with Metamoris. Like, we'll get into it. But I've been trying not to curse and I've been trying to work on my cursing, but fuck 𝐿𝐼C. All right, 𝐿𝐼C is a scumbag. I'm just gonna say
I get on Instagram just like on a random, and like you're on my top feed, like
I'm so sorry.
I see Jiu-Jitsu Radio going in on 𝐿𝐼C. Like he commented on your post, I think, on Instagram, wasn't it?
Yeah, man. So, all right, fine, because you're pushing my buttons now. Right? When you have a business and you have email signups, you have to have, by law, you have to have that disclaimer that says, yes, I give this person permission to email me about stuff. When you do that for a company, you're only doing it for that company, right?
It's affirmative consent. Affirmative consent is supposed to be given. Right. It can't be taken away.
You can't sell the information from one company to another. So if Third Coast Grappling has my email, right? And then all of a sudden Third Coast Grappling dissolves, 10 years down the road goes by, somebody starts and whoever owns Third Coast Grappling now all of a sudden owns another company completely separate to what you did before. It has got nothing to do with it. And you start emailing me. That's actually literally against like the Federal Trade Commission. Like you're
the spam, all that stuff.
So that 𝐘𝐸𝐬𝐜𝐵𝐲 thing that he sent out was a scam. Like you're trying to sell something. And here's the thing. I've always praised the production for like the commercials with Metamoris. Like you could go back through like my feed and you could see everything that I always posted about Metamoris. I wanted the event to succeed. Right. But when I know for a fact that you don't have any money and you're texting one of the fighters that I'm working with and I'm handling all their marketing, and I see you blatantly lying to what you're willing to pay them, and I have the receipts, bro, like, then don't sit there and tell me, oh, no, I never made a promise to people about paying them something I can't pay. Like, no, dude, you don't do that. Like, because it's shit. Like, if you hadn't proved with Third Coast Grappling that you could have a big event, we probably wouldn't have the level of quality that we do for ADCC, right? It would have been a bigger hill for Mo to climb with more money because you showed you could do it even when we were in a worldwide pandemic.
The thing with Mo is that guy's had that vision. I mean,
years.
Me and him were actually friends, and we were actually, we were cool until my stupid crazy ass. I don't even remember what it was, but I have a lot of respect for what Mo does. I have a lot of respect for Seth and what they've done for the sport. I mean, Flow Grappling, as we see, is kind of what Fight Pass and 𝗏𝗏𝘅 and all them are doing over there is fucking unreal. Yeah. Like I recently followed him on Instagram, and like I love seeing what they're doing for jiu-jitsu. Like they got that Nicky Rod, Roberto Jimenez match. We did that at the Kumite right in the middle of the fucking pandemic, and Roberto beat Nicky back then. But that guy, it's going to be a much different match now. But going back to 𝐿𝐼C, look, I know the costs that are associated. I know about overblowing a budget. I know about it all. And trust me, if it wasn't for one or two people, I could have been 𝐿𝐼C. And I'm no bullshit. Yeah. I mean, I was one investor or one friend away from being 𝐿𝐼C, and I had so many parallels where people were saying, like, y'all shining too bright. And you know what? They were probably right. But at that moment, jiu-jitsu needed to shine bright. It needed a moment that was going to catalyst things and get people excited and mix the pro wrestling with the grappling and all the crazy shit I came up with high out of my mind. It was insane. But I could have been him, and I'm not giving him a pass at all because what he did is a lot different. Like, it's true. I mean, he went out there. I mean, the closest. I mean, that's why I kind of can relate to him in a way, but I don't relate in the way he handled it. Yeah. Because we always tried, no matter what. We all had reputations. We all had people involved. Like we had 𝗁𝗟𝐶𝐶 behind us. We had a lot of people that invested their time and energy in us, and so we made sure, for the most part, that we did what we could. We fucked up here and there, but I mean, whatever. But yeah, I mean,
even like obviously, I don't want to put specific numbers out there for you guys. The amount of money that you had was a fraction of the amount of money that he had backing.
It was like probably it's like 0.1%.
Right.
Like everything was event to event. We didn't have like big like money reserves.
No, and that's the thing. He had Zepp funding him, and then he had all these people backing him up. And now all of a sudden, like the production like company, like, dude, the commercials and stuff that he was putting together were amazing. It was great. So, but when that took a dump, there was nothing really else going on in jiu-jitsu for those couple of years. There was just nothing. Nobody was willing to take the hit anymore to have those events, right? The closest that we had was ADCC in Anaheim, and Seth had put all that money together to have like the big Kodo drums playing and all that other stuff. It was a big production. But even
in person, that was a great
event. Yeah, it was awesome. I was there too. It was like, and I mean, I still remember hearing like Seth flipping out, yelling everybody to go backstage because everybody was sitting up front covering. Like, it was a big event. But the fact that he was able to take that Anaheim arena, fill up half of it, packed to the rim with people, because it was packed. It was just this half, yeah, but it was packed. It showed people like, hey, wait a minute. I think now's the time for us to go. Like, then the pandemic happened. It's like, shit, now we're going to go back again like a couple of years. Then Third Coast Grappling happens. They're like, you came out of left field. Like, you completely came out of left field. And people are like, what the hell is going on? What's like a 3CG? Like, what the hell is even that? Right. So it's like the closest was what, 5 Grappling, which the guys are great at 5 Grappling, but the events were nowhere close to that kind of production. It was a small in-gym thing.
And what they did, doing a tournament for people that register, the production, like we did a 3CG tournament where we did it right after the pandemic, and the images and the way we did it, everybody loved it. But dude, the money exhaustion, like losing money, like event to event, we lost every fucking time because we tried to put on the quality we wanted, but between production, between paying athletes, my stupid ass negotiating too high salaries, it's kind of like Alec in a way, like it was overpaying. We were trying to cut the line, and that's what we did. We did cut the line. Yeah. We went from making $350 from Flow Grappling, and in less than a year, we were making, we had $30,000 on the plate, like from getting them to fund the Kumite. Yeah. And hey, shout out to them. A lot of the people over there I liked are gone. The people over there that I don't like are still there.
Yeah, that's always the case.
And they're kind of circling the toilet bowl, but I think that's outside of ADCC, they don't really have anything. WNO is a ripoff of our Kumite.
And look, ADCC is literally only there by the grace of God for UFC dropping the ball.
Because they fumbled the bag big time.
They fumbled the bag, and it wasn't even like they fumbled the bag, is because I know what happened. And I was going back and forth with someone about this because I knew already that ADCC was going to the UFC Fight Pass.
I heard that and I was like, fuck yes, that's amazing.
Yeah, it would have been great. So then what happened was, I got to be very careful how I say this because I can't out my source, but what UFC promised ADCC wasn't really what they were going to deliver to Mo and ADCC, right? And that's probably one of the few times where like Dana like just screwed with the wrong people out there in Dubai. And they said like, nope, because the contract was already signed. They said, no, screw that, we're out. And that's what like they went to Flow Grappling. And it was literally, it was probably the closest to the Hail Mary throw that Flow had. Because if it wasn't for that, it would have been.
I guarantee you they opened those pockets, but made them.
Oh, for sure.
They couldn't refuse because
for sure.
I think they're going to last another ADCC cycle there. Probably not. At UFC is where you want to go. They're investing a ton of money. You see these matches, fucking Marigali, Felipe. These are like dream cards. Like Gordon and Mason and Marigali and fucking, Gordon and Mason didn't happen, but like I was like, this is insane. Like this is the shit. Like this is what should be going on, and they're going to keep investing in it. They got a guy that is in charge of their whole streaming platform, VP. He's a jiu-jitsu guy. Mm-hmm. He's got a purple or blue belt. I'm colorblind. I don't know the difference, but he's doing that, and I think that they're going to take it to the next level because that Fight Pass platform is way bigger.
Yeah,
and we've had conversations with them back in the day. They just weren't. The money wasn't there for us. We would have made better money with what we were doing when we went to fight. Those are great people over at Fight. You know 𝐾𝐸𝐬𝐜𝐵𝐿 and all them.
Yeah, no, they're great people. They're definitely putting in money. The one thing I wish they would have kept trying to push was the that triad boxing thing,
That
because
was
that was
pretty
a cool
cool.
event. Dude, that was a cool event. I wish you could have been there for that one, because that one was nutty. Because it was in Texas. It was close to Dallas.
Oh, was that with Triad? Was that when not Mike Tyson fought on the Triller card, right?
Yeah, he did the Triller card. No, the triad was Mike Perry, Frank Mir, and it was like the
Yeah.
Metallica show that they were playing.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah. I
dude, you
remember
would have
that.
loved that, because it was like, and I was, I'm getting like goosebumps. I freaking loved it. Like it was nutty. Like Matt Mitrione, Perry, Frank Mir. So if you watch, I always post it every once in a while because it pops up on my feed. The video of Frank Mir getting like knocked the hell out there, like I'm sitting there with my camera, and you see like Frank, dude, I'll never forget it, because Frank got hit, and I thought he was goofing when he started like wobbling. And I was like, damn, Frank is like really just like playing it up. Like I would have never expected that. And I was like, oh no, he's really out. He was out. What you see on TV or like on video is not fully representative of how bad he was rocked on that fight. And the fights were pretty good, man. The fights were pretty good. But so what happened was that was a test run. That was supposed to be a test run. Metallica, once that happened, once they did that show, they went like all in. They invested into it.
Oh damn.
Yeah, they invested into it. They put money into it because, dude, the show was great. Like, it was great. Not the best sounding show for Metallica. As a fan, kind of hurts. Like, there was like, they definitely showed the age, but dude, the show was awesome. Like, I'm sure I still have clips of it somewhere. But
What do you think
then,
about this power? What do you think about this power slap stuff that's going on?
you know what, man? Um,
I mean,
I'm
I can't look away. I can't look away. I
yeah,
have to watch it. When it
yeah.
comes up on my reels, I'm like, I gotta watch something get the fuck slapped out of it.
I am definitely a scumbag for sure, because I feel bad knowing the brain damage that these guys are and girls are taking, and they're probably getting peanuts, if that. But I love anything involving combat. Like, I am all for it. I'm the guy that, like, in high school, we are like, oh, dude, you see Faces of Death? Nah, I seen it. Give me something else. Like, I
I'm
want something.
desensitized. I'm desensitized to this. But like all the new like combat sports that have come out in the last few years, like the bare knuckle getting big, and you know the YouTubers. You got Jake Paul out there boxing. I mean, that's exciting too. You
Dude,
got
he's
fucking Francis
legit.
Ngannou beating Tyson Fury. He beat Tyson
Yeah,
Fury.
he did. He
I
did.
don't care what
100%.
anybody says. Ngannou beat him, and he's gonna fight Anthony Joshua. That's fucking insane.
Did you see the situation with Tyson Fury and like having to call off the fight because of the cut?
He got a cut, but you see how ripped he was, dude. He was
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
six.
But did you watch the video afterwards, like the interview that they did with like
I
I
think
guess,
the Sheik or whatever over there
yeah,
inside
he's like the head of, like, the commissioner
$1 million.
of entertainment. But did you see Tyson's face?
It didn't look like he had a cut on his face.
No, he definitely had a cut. But if you go back, watch it, and this is for everybody, go back and watch this interview. Tyson was definitely shitting his pants, because that's not a group of people you play with. Remember, he technically lost that fight, but he was on their turf, so they decide who wins on that one. That they were not going to play on who won that. There's one of the most crooked sports, and you think you're going to be out there and like oil money. You don't think that they got somebody paid up? No way,
Riyadh season, baby.
dude. $10 million if you don't make it into the next fight, and you know that they're not playing. Like, he can't mess around, dude. He comes around here in Delray every couple of months. Somebody posts a photo of him like going out there to the bars and stuff like that. So it's like, man, he will not be playing this time around. I guarantee you that.
10 million for my purse, because I mean, how are they going to get the 10 mil though? Is what I imagine. Like you're going to find a guy 10 mil from some obscure organization in the Middle East. I mean, he might not ever be able to go to the Middle East again, but I mean,
I
you're not going to
mean,
get that 10 mil from him.
if we have learned anything about world politics, like, you don't need to be in the Middle East for them to get you. Like, they can come and get you just fine if they want to. But
Dude,
I
the
mean,
money it's so big right now. All the money people are pushing out into combat sports and into entertainment again, like music even. Like I
yeah.
mean, I saw my connections with a few friends in the music biz, and everything's alive. I mean, it just took a
Yeah.
couple of years.
Dude, I mean, like if you look at it, if anything, you should probably be happy that you don't have to deal with it anymore because venues are getting booked up 2, 3 years ahead of time.
My
Like,
venue, like I'm putting together a networking type event for my company and my clients and stuff. And it's my contact that I booked, all my 3CG stuff with. And the rentals and everything like that, like you said, it's like I was getting sweetheart deals,
yeah,
but there's no more sweetheart deals. It's prime space, bro.
dude. And the worst part is like, so yeah, there's inflation and everything. If you look at the money, I'm like, Tool was here the other day, wanted to go see Tool, $300 tickets. Like, sorry, I love Tool.
Insane.
I'm not paying $300 for Tool right now. And then Pantera played just Saturday. Not really Pantera, tribute band. Let's just be honest, all right? But
Still
$300 a
enjoying
ticket. Like I'm not gonna pay $300 to go watch Zach Wild do a pinch harmonic. I'm good. I've seen it. I'm like I've been there, right? But I mean, like, dude, like
it.
I bare knuckle. Like I went to go to see the bare knuckle fights Friday. Shout out to Lights Out Podcast and the guys at Bare Knuckles because they hooked it up with tickets. I mean, like, dude, Hard Rock Stadium packed, packed. It was great. Like, and I mean, like the fights, little. I'm gonna have to have a conversation with them. The fights were a little uh unbalanced because there was a lot of first round stoppages.
That's so fun though. Like it's always good. Like when you put out, like I did it with some of my matchmaking. Like you put out like a world, like I think I put Lucas Valente versus, and I love Bill the Girl Cooper, but Bill, he's done his time. He's a G. I'm glad to see him back on his feet. But we put Bill versus Lucas Valente, and
Yeah.
Lucas Valente is 21, 22 in the gi. Bill was a G for stepping up. He's coming out of his darkness, so I respect him for that. But it's like 15 seconds.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's just like you got to have those matches, man. Like people want blood. I
Yeah.
mean, especially now, like give them the blood.
You know what I've been obsessed with for like the last few years, and I've talked about it before on the podcast. Like the one was the Dembe Warrior fights.
Mm-hmm.
Like some Welsh guy fought it in Africa where they just like tape or they put rope around one arm. Have you not seen this?
Oh,
Dude, you gotta watch it. It's so good. So you have to watch like the old fights where they're literally in the middle of the village. It's like just a dirt pit. And I mean, they they have rituals where like they throw money on the fighters for good luck before the fight. But what they'll do is they put twine rope around their arm up to their fist. They basically turn it into a club,
oh
right?
my god.
And they sit like this. So this becomes like their shield and this is their spear. And it's all like one hit knockouts. And bro, it just becomes concrete. So you see like craziest fights. And it's guys in like jeans and like no shirt. Amazing fights.
Send me a
Amazing
link to
fights.
that. I want to see some of that stuff. But
Yeah, yeah.
I do have my heart. I mean, circling back to what we've been talking about, I'm still a combat sports fan. I'm still watching the big jiu-jitsu cards. I'm not watching any of the like to have good production is that's a huge expense. And so I've got mad respect for these guys that are coming out. I mean, technology is different. We have AI. We have all kinds of stuff now that wasn't around back then. But I mean, I give a lot of props to people that are trying to break in the industry and do their thing. But I'll go back and say it like unless you have money that you're willing to lose
Yeah.
and maybe not ever get it back. I mean, maybe if you lose enough and you're around long enough, it'll start turning for you. It's not an easy industry. And I put my life on. I tried everything I could to make it work. But when I was misaligned with the mission, when I got off the beaten path and got off of myself, which I don't make excuses for, but I went through a ton of trauma, a ton of stress. I'm a disabled vet. I have PTSD like a motherfucker. So you add more PTSD on top of PTSD on top of PTSD. It's like a whole fuckload of trauma at one time. And it was like I said, I'm lucky to be alive, but bro, I've got a lot of love for everybody that tried to help, whether it was, you and I, our relationship, being able to do pods every now and then, or people that just showed up and attended, and the athletes. Look, when there's money on the line, people are different. When there's purses being paid, people are different. And it's all a business. And I've got nothing but love for everybody that's trying to do something now. And especially the people that tried to help me, when I couldn't help myself, the Seths, the Davids, the Zachs, people like that were genuinely there for me. So it's a chapter of my life I've closed. There's not going to be a fourth coast grappling. There's not going to be I'm never going to do that again. I'm just here just as a fan now and as somebody that wants to, just wants to see the sport continue to grow because it has great life-changing effects. I mean, outside of the McDojos and, you know, the people that are like preying on the weak and all the weird stuff that goes on, which by the way, the cyborg stuff, all this weird shit that went on, we're talking like rape and all this shit. These motherfuckers got a pass. Now they're back out there shaking
Dude,
their
don't get me
asses.
started. And the worst part is like the people that were around it, that knew it, defended, but like now they're like stepping out. It's like, man, like it's
like people went on to get married, they go on with their lives. But bro, I was literally I was like right there when all that stuff was breaking. And to see how people were talked about and treated and everything like that, to see it now, everybody's all warm and buddy. Like it's like the worst thing I did, bro, is maybe mismanage an event here and there or cost some money here and there. These motherfuckers were out there preying on their students, preying on the people that can't look out for themselves. They're preying on these women that just wanted acceptance or wanted to train, and then the kids stuff. Like it's fucked up, dude. Like the sport's still got a major fucking problem.
the like and I was kind of going over it, like mulling over it in my head like a few weeks ago, and I was like looking at it all. Like I definitely have had a bit of a falling out with jiu-jitsu because of the people that were like that are around it. The amount of stuff that is, the fact is it's a cult, right? You get to a point where you start off, you fall in love with it, becomes a cult, which I can't sit there and deny it, because obviously look at everything that I did for jiu-jitsu. I was obsessed with it. I mean, like I've gotten to be around literally the best people, absolute fucking legends. I've been around even like the scummiest of scummy people, like we talked about. I sat there, had dinner with them, right? I've been around these people. So I think
these people thousands and thousands of dollars. There's things I know that I will take to my grave because saying anything would cause shit that I don't want any part of.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there's still a major problem.
For sure. And it comes down to, it's like, why is it that we have evidence of people like of rape, attempted rape, of coercion, of extortion, of just putting pressure on people not to file complaints, this, that, and the other? We have it. We know it. We've seen it. There's people that are around it. They know it too. And because people are either afraid of having to deal with a lawsuit, or they're afraid of being ostracized at a gym, they're not going to come out. So it's like, okay, well, then what the hell are we doing? Are we going to sit there and talk about like, oh, I love jiu-jitsu, it's done so much for my life? Okay, what about that girl that got raped by her coach? She got groomed, raped by her coach repeatedly, but she doesn't get to say like, oh, look at how much jiu-jitsu did for me. Right? She doesn't get to say that.
I'll be very vague about this. We might have to cut this.
Yeah.
There are people that are out there influencing, managing, doing whatever they're doing, people's careers that were involved in cover-ups, that were involved in people. And they're just given you know, like it boggles my mind, because I wasn't the fucking problem. Like there's a way deeper problem than somebody that wants to put on great events and help grow the sport. You know, like,
yeah. I mean, let's be honest. Look at stuff like if we go back as far as like Lloyd Irvin. Dude, I see him. How do I see him at tournaments? What are we even talking about?
Ivan, what's up, Master Lloyd, or whatever the fuck they called him?
Yeah, it's like, dude, are you kidding me? Like, how are you allowed to walk the streets? And the pass that he got was because he said that, oh, I couldn't get it up. Like that was literally his pass. Like, you know,
when Keenan leaked all that stuff, I remember reading through just all the court documents, and I was just like sick to my stomach.
Yeah.
And it had Houston roots too. I think there was like a Mike Perez and all those people that were wrapped up in it, and they were very young. I don't think Mike, you know, meant anything right. And I don't know enough to speak intelligently on it, and I don't know if I really want to.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, we've gone over like a bunch of times, but like I agree with you, and like that's part of kind of, you know, like we started off with of saying, is just that I've had my cleanse. I've had my cleanse of the cult. I don't give a shit. Like I will call out, like I called out Halleck. I'll sit there even today. Like I go back and forth. I was going back and forth with some douchebag from Canada the other day because he misread something that I posted. I commented on somebody's like thing. And it's like, dude, are you really going to go back and forth with like me on this? Like, you know, you're wrong. Like jiu-jitsu is a small community. This person doesn't pay my fucking bills. I don't care. I don't care. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Are you going to fight me? Oh, wow. Okay. We'll have a jiu-jitsu match. Like, no, man, this is Florida. Shit doesn't fly that way. Do you know how many death threats I've gotten in the last 2 years alone?
I've gotten threats too, bro, and it's empty threats. I mean, the people that the online stuff, it's the most the comment sections are the toxic parts of the world. And
Yeah.
it goes back to, like we said, jiu-jitsu is great. There's three sects to it. There's the training, the competing, and then there's the business side. The business side is ugly.
Yeah.
And it will rip you apart. It will tear you apart. It'll make you hate it. And I'm back training with my team again. I'm back at 𝗂𝐵𝐴𝐻𝐵𝐲. I'm back around people that I hadn't seen in 2+ years. I'm fat as fuck right now. I've got to lose a bunch of weight, but
Dude, you won't hear shit from me, man. This shirt is extra medium.
yeah. So, it's back to loving the sport again. Like what got me back to it is that self-improvement. I've done a lot of like individual work, a lot of soul work, a lot of stuff. I'm a family guy, like I asked you to move this up a little earlier so I can make sure I can help my daughter get to bed.
Sure.
Like, and it's stuff like that, man. But like anybody that was out there, you included, that bought in, that helped, that was there, that means a lot. The ones that weren't there when things fell off, look, I get it. Some people just don't want to get involved. But the people that were there for me, like the ones that have come back around, the people I've had dialogue with, I mean, it's meant a lot that they've been so understanding. And my partner was like, well, of course they're going to be understanding. You paid them thousands of dollars. Like, what do they have again?
Yeah.
It's like that. Why the fuck they can't be mad at you? What'd you do? You help grow their brand and paid them thousands of dollars and put them on. I mean, and I don't look at it from an egotistical viewpoint like that. I just look at it as we got to do something really cool for a couple of years. It flamed out spectacularly in Arizona when I had fucking Nate Diaz, Jake Shields, everybody. I'm picking Nate Diaz up from the fucking airport in an Uber, and as soon as he gets in, we have one of the cannabis sponsors. Nate's like, spark that shit up. And he told the Uber driver, and the Uber's like, all right. So we're up there fucking hotboxing the damn Uber, me, Nate Diaz, and the rep from the cannabis company. We get there, and it's a complete nightmare. It was our first event that we did. Like Seth and I were going to co on it. I shot too much on the budget. We didn't really sell like we wanted to. It was a new market. But we pulled out all the stops. It just wasn't a �3CG event. And kudos to Seth for taking the risk with me. I got a lot of love for that guy. I haven't talked to him probably in months, or swap text with him. But, he'll probably watch this. And if he does, he knows I owe him a lot. He tried to help out a lot. There's a lot of people in the industry that were great. But then, me and Seth were frenemies for a long time there. Like
I remember. Yeah.
But now I think we're all grown up now. And at the end of the day, Alex, the show will go on as it does in music, as it does in jiu-jitsu. And we can just sit back and watch. We're not the ones pushing the show forward anymore.
I mean, there's nobody that can sit there and debate the fact that you literally put your thumbprint into the history of jiu-jitsu and grappling sports altogether. I mean, it's, in the grand scheme of it, like 200 years from now, like, will it be like huge? We don't know. But the fact is that in the history of jiu-jitsu, Third Coast Grappling did something that literally nobody else at this point in time in history was able to do. IBJJF couldn't do it, right? ADCC could barely like do it. And like any other like organization that was around at that point in time, like they couldn't do and capture what you did with the matches that you got, because there were some amazing matches. And you had the kids, like when you had the kids like tag team matches and stuff like that, dude, that alone. And that part is like we didn't even discuss, because now like I help out with like the ADCC reffing, and we did Orlando, what was it, October? We did it in October and November. It was November, dude. We almost went to jail. I mean, I gotta tell you that one. I got a funny story. I'll tell you after. But like, dude, my mat was 150 kids matches.
Insane, bro. Like they're changing the sport.
My mat alone was 150 kids matches. We started late. We were supposed to start at 8, and I think we started at like 9:30. We were going until 1:00 in the morning. So that's what happened. This is something most people don't know this, bro. So like it's funny, like we had the cops called on us. We were about to go to jail. So we were doing the ADCC Orlando the same time as the Olympia, right? We were doing the Mr. Olympia. So we were supposed to start at 8. I was up until like 3 o'clock in the morning because we were at Halloween Horror Nights. That's a whole different story. But stuff kept happening. Finally, the show starts. I want to say 9 o'clock. And we were going nonstop. Around 5 o'clock, they took everybody out. They kicked everybody out of like the conference, the Orange, it was Orange County. It's the Orlando Expo Center, completely emptied out. We all had to go outside. We killed an hour out there, and then we had to rush back in to keep going. We were supposed to end at like 8, 9, like, and then be finished, wrapped up, 10 o'clock, done. Dude, it's like midnight, and like we haven't even done absolutes yet. I just sent my buddy like a video yesterday, like showing like one of the last matches. So the head guy that of the convention center comes out with the guys from the Olympia, because I knew them from when I worked with Flex, and they're like, hey, you guys got to wrap it up. They're like, just 10 more minutes, like we'll be done. Like, dude, it ends up being like one mat, half the stuff is already rolled up. They're like, you guys need to leave in the next 10 minutes or you're going to jail. We call the cops. And like, it's funny because all the higher ups and the ADCC ref, and they're like, all right, you guys are done. Go, 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 go. The guy's like literally on the phone calling the cops. Like, and we have the group chat, like, thank you guys so much for like hanging out, doing this so late, dude. They called the cops on us running ADCC late. Like even Mo mentioned something about it. It was hilarious. I'm like, no fucking sleep. And then go to Disney the next day. I was like, dude, I'm done. I'm like, I need a break. But yeah, it was fun, man.
That's crazy, bro. Well, dude, like we've covered some pretty heavy stuff, man.
Yeah.
Like, I appreciate you bringing me on. I mean, it was cathartic in a way. I was able to get some stuff out that I haven't really talked about, and outside of therapy walls or family walls. And I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to be alive. I'm happy to be a spectator to what's going on, and I'm proud of everybody that's doing big things in the industry. I mean, it's.
Let me ask you one last question before you go, because I feel like this needs to be said, and at risk of sounding cliche, for other people, whether it's someone who's also a vet or someone who's dealing with a bunch of stuff that gets into a dark place like you did, what do you feel you could share with someone that maybe might be their catalyst to either help themselves or get help?
I would say it starts with self-talk, right? It starts with telling yourself you're not a bad person, telling yourself you deserve to live, telling yourself, and like when you're depressed and in a hole, it's really hard to even think like that. But anybody that was going through, I would say reach out. I insulated, I went away. I couldn't deal with talking to people without getting emotional, thinking about it, but reach out to somebody. Reach out to your family. Don't go quiet. The worst thing you can do is just take substances with you, go into a hole and hope for it to pass, because it's not going to pass. You're going to fuck yourself up even worse. You're going to get in a position to where you could lose your life, which I did, and you're going to end up potentially losing it all, which my family, everybody. I mean, it started with the business, or my grandparents, or my grandma, the business, all that. I lost a lot, but losing my family and losing my own life, that was the end of the road. And so reach out, pray. I mean, if you don't believe, man, like it took I was I was an agnostic for so long, but I was literally, when I was getting strong, I was listening to NF, I was listening to Alter Bridge, I was listening to like all this crazy, like uplifting type music while I was sitting there trying to destroy myself. But the biggest thing I can say is don't go quiet. Like, let people know and that's hard to do when you're surrounded by people you don't know if you can trust. But you need to find somebody you can trust. You need to get yourself in a program. You need to do everything you can so you don't end up dead in the road in a statistic. And that's what I say. I mean, that's the best advice I can give. And don't get in it. That's another one. Don't allow yourself to. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like, shit gets dark, life sucks, it moves on, but don't allow your whole identity to be wrapped up into something that somebody can just take away from you at a moment's notice. Like, have more about yourself. Have more. Be more than just Ryan from Third Coast Grappling, because that's, at the end of it, that's all I identified as. I didn't think of myself as a dad or a father. I got wrapped up in that whole bullshit. I'm the man, this and that. Don't. let your ego go. I mean, even when it's chemically manufactured, let your ego die. Don't die yourself. And reach out for help. There's plenty of resources out there. I mean, if you're struggling, if you're hurting right now, you're listening to this, call somebody you love. If you don't have somebody to call, fucking call me. Send me a message. I'm happy to talk to anybody. I do a lot of work now with some veteran charities and things that I've gotten involved with, and talk to somebody. That's all I mean, that's the best I can say is like, get all that shit inside of you out and save your life in the process.
No, that's awesome, man. I appreciate you telling me that. I mean, and I'm glad we got to have this talk, even though it's probably more public than we should have had it. But I'm glad to hear, man. I'm glad that you're back in full form. Now we got to get you. We got to get you to set up a show so we can do a gig out in Texas, man.
When you're coming down to Houston, just let me know. I got the connections. I'll take care of you, brother.
You know, I'm saying, like, let's just start up. Let's just do a one. Let's do an acoustic duo set. Some bar. Let's do it. I'm down, bro. I will.
I'll bring my ukulele. Let's go.
Let's go. I'm down. Dude, are you kidding me? I'll send you the photo of the guitar I picked up the other day that I shouldn't have bought, but I fucking love it. But all right, buddy. I'll let you go, man. Thank you again for doing this, dude. I'm glad that we got to reconnect. And to be honest, I'm really, really happy that the first episode back is with you because of everything that we've gotten to do together too, man. So I'm glad you're still here, bro.
You're the man, bro.
All right. Love you, buddy. Take care. Have fun tonight with the fam.
Yep. Talk to you soon, bud.
Bye. Man, that was heavier. That was heavier than what I was expecting to be. I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Ryan did something for the grappling community that we can easily say nobody else has done. And he did it at a point in time in history where it was almost physically impossible to do it. None of this is scripted. I'm just trying to say, like, trying to put everything together in my head and vocalize it. When Third Coast Grappling started and really got moving, it was at a point in time for us as human beings where who knows nobody knew if we were going to be alive tomorrow, right? That was the fear that threw at us, that we didn't know. So the fact that we had a little bit of respite from the fear, the darkness of everything was crazy. It was awesome. It was great to have. It came at a cost that could have been more expensive than any of us could have ever have thought. I honestly, like I said, I didn't know that that's how dark a friend of mine was. I could tell that, you know, he was going through a lot, seeing from his Facebook posts and kind of texting back and forth, like here and there. I never feel like I want to pry, especially when people are going through stuff. But sometimes pry, man. Sometimes just pry. You know, if you care about someone, if you love your friends, pry to the point it gets annoying. Even if they tell you to go F yourself. You know, that's the mistake that I made with my friend Gabe, where I brushed off somebody. And he's the one that reached out to me. My friend Gabe, obviously, is the one that reached out to me to mend that bridge that I burnt because of how I was fed up, when I should have been prying, when I should have sat there and been there more. So even more with like Ryan, his family, he's got a wife, he's got a kid. He did all this for everybody else. So while you guys as athletes were sitting there poking and prodding a man for more money for a jiu-jitsu match, that means absolutely nothing. You got to remember, there's a soul behind that. That's what pisses me off about like the whole Halleck situation, right? If there was a genuine feeling of, I'm sorry, guys, that it didn't work out, it'd be different. It'd be like, hey, man, I get it. You tried. But when you spit in the face of the community, that pisses me off. Ryan never spat in the face of the community. Ryan got shit on by the jiu-jitsu community and the athletes that he was giving money to give us something at the worst possible time in the sport, in the martial art. This one, like being the first episode back, is definitely going to be one that I'm going to sit on for a little bit and think about. And I think a lot of people in the jiu-jitsu community should too. It's a little bit deeper, and we could have gone much deeper. I know that if it wasn't for the fact that that he had to go and be with family, we probably could have gone into it more. And I definitely will want to get into it more with him, just because you have to be there for your friends. Like, you know, I think Ryan and I connected more like with music after like the whole Third Coast Grappling. I mean, like you see this thing like more than anything else. And I always say like music saves lives. Like jiu-jitsu saved lives of a lot of people. Music definitely saved my life coming off of my dark situation when I was depressed and I was sitting there sleeping all day. You know, didn't know what the hell I was going to do with myself. And like another reason why I haven't been able to do the podcast for so long, because it was just a dark spot for me. And then I got into the band. I got into Sons of a Tradesman, and even if I might have not thought that I needed that, I needed the distraction, a goal to focus on. Because once you have that goal, everything else gets taken out, right? You don't have those distractions. Once you can focus in, then you start kind of recentering yourself of who you are, what makes you happy, what makes you unhappy, what you don't need. Like, well, like, why am I going to do this? Why am I going to be stressed out about some goofball online when I got a wife, when I got kids, when I got a show, I got to learn a new song, I got to write a new song, we got to do this, and all that stuff matters, man. Really happy to see him turn around. Really, we didn't even get into it, but I know he's been really successful in his new business. And the company that he's working at, he's breaking records for the company. So shout out to Ryan, man. I just want him to watch this after and really know that regardless of everybody else, I'm here. Just like he said, if you need somebody to talk to me. Like, reach out. You know, I'll do what I can. You know, I might not be the person that you need to talk to, but I might be able to point you who you need to talk to. And there's been a lot of people that like try and go back and forth with me online, where I can tell, like, I know that you're not really feeling this. You're just angry, and you managed to find that target being me, whether it was like my personal Instagram or Jiu-Jitsu Radio Instagram, whatever it is, you found that's the target to unleash your anger at. That's cool. I get it. But it's not going to fix your problem. If you're not happy with you, you need to do it. But all right, I'm going to get off the soapbox. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. I'm really working on giving you more quality over quantity. I think I'm having like a bunch of glitches and stuff with my Zoom and recording the podcast. We're going to do what we can. Anyway, appreciate you all. Thank you for everybody that's constantly been like nagging at me to get the podcast going, You're right. You're right. I need to get back on it. Life's been crazy. Like I said, I'll fill you in more as the episodes go. I'm sure I'll be doing a bunch of other stuff. But either way, appreciate you all. We back, baby.